Okay. So I thought I would sit and do a story time for you today. It's gonna be about my friend's suicide, the one that died last month in December. I'm not gonna use his name because it is a suicide, and when I did talk to his family, they aren't sure if they're gonna tell everybody how he died, and I don't wanna have any problems with anyone, so for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna call him the wine guy, because we used to go wine tasting together. He loved wine. He knew more about wine than anybody else I've ever met, and he's the reason why I know anything about wine now. I obsess over this situation because it is so crazy, and I almost don't believe it's real because it's so crazy. It could be like a Lifetime movie. About 9 years ago, I met this guy, and he is 20 years older than me. Okay, he is 20 years older than me. And there were times that I felt like I couldn't tell people that we were friends because of the age difference. But it was really fun to have someone that was that much older than you who had money, okay? Because we would go to really nice restaurants. We would go wine tasting. He would buy so much wine. It was ridiculous. He'd spend thousands of dollars on wine. And he was so passionate about it. I guess the appeal to me with hanging out with an older man was I got to feel like I was somebody else. I got to feel like I was living somebody else's life. You know, I got to pretend that maybe for a short amount of time I was a wife, you know, that I was living, I was getting a glimpse in what it would be like, I guess, you know, and it was fun to feel that. And he really liked the way I explained things, okay? So when we would go wine tasting, he would be like, okay, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this one, you know? And I think that that's why he liked to hang out with me. I also like to dress up, and he wanted someone that would dress up and go out with him. We didn't talk all the time. You know, sometimes I'd see him once a week, and sometimes I wouldn't see him for months. And that was okay, because every time we hung out again, it was like time, you know, never passed. Because there was an age difference, I knew we would never have a romantic relationship, even though I know he wanted to. He really wanted that with me, and I just knew that it couldn't work, and I just didn't have those kinds of feelings. He had a very nice 5-bedroom house. He had a hot tub, and he was working on making his house kind of like a spa. He had met a woman a couple of years ago that was his age, and they were dating, and you know, he had dated a lot of different women when we were friends. And this one, he said, was going to be different, and he had moved her into his house. And then that was kind of the end of our friendship, because he was getting married, and then how he's going to explain why he's hanging out with a younger woman. So it was in July, he randomly calls me and says, I really need to talk to you. It needs to be in person. And we hadn't talked in probably over a year at that point, so I'm like, what could be possibly going on? And he told me that he had gotten married in Santa Barbara, and he had done all these really nice things for her and her family, and then she had gotten in a fight with him in the hotel room and pressed assault charges. And then he was arrested and in a jail in another state, and when you get arrested on a Friday, they keep you in jail over the weekend. So I think she planned this. So she had come back and left him there and took everything she wanted from the house. Like weird things, like the coffee maker, you know, and some of the furniture. And she shut down his camera system and all kinds of really weird things. So when he got out, he came home to no wife, things missing, and, you know, he never got to speak to her again. And I know that this was really, really hurtful to him because he couldn't understand it. And I tried to explain to him, you know, I think she was just using you. I think she's a gold digger, you know, because he was a very generous person, you know. I would always come back with a case of wine, you know, from our wine tasting experience. And I think you know, he really, really wanted to have love, and he was lonely, living in a 5-bedroom house by himself. So, you know, I explained to him how I thought she had, you know, planned the whole thing, and then all of this, because they had only been married for 5 days, okay? I'm not doing a very good job explaining this, but I'm not gonna refilm it, so take it for what it is. They'd only been married for 5 days until this situation happens, which I think she did on purpose, because he said he didn't hit her, which I'm gonna believe because he's my friend, but yet I don't wanna believe women make up stories like that because of the things I've been through. But anyways, so I explained how some people are really that evil. You know, some people really don't care about people, and they will do these unbelievably awful things. And he couldn't believe that it could happen to him, because he's never had anything like that happen to him before. He never had anybody screw him over so badly. And he kept being like, well, there's gotta be a mistake here. I'm like, there's not a mistake here. I said, if she still wanted to be married to you, and she really wanted to be with you, and she loved you, and all of this and that, she would have been waiting for you outside the jail, dropped the charges, and you would have come back home together. But she is not here. She's taken stuff from you, and she's had plenty of time to think about it. And then one day he calls me, this is like a while later, and says he had gotten this letter in the mail from her lawyer wanting all of these things and claiming all of these awful things he'd done, and he was crying, and he said he never did these things, and he couldn't believe she would say this, or anybody would say this about him. And you know, he had no criminal charges ever in his life, so he couldn't imagine having any sort of criminal charges put on him. You know, he was a straight-laced guy. I've had some time to like think about the situation, so I'm not crying anymore, and I'm a little bit more like accepting of the situation. So if I smile and laugh, it's not because I think it's funny, it's just more like I've accepted things because there's nothing else I can do. Okay, so all right, yeah, so he got the letter. He got this letter, and he was gonna let me read it, but I never ended up seeing it. And then I had my birthday in November 25th is my birthday, and he said that he wanted to make it a really nice birthday for me. And I said, okay, yeah, that would, you know, thank you, let's do that. And my favorite restaurant in Portland, Oregon is Ringside Steakhouse. If you ever come to Oregon or you live here, you gotta go to Ringside. It's the best steakhouse. Yes, it's a little expensive, but it's amazing. You gotta go. It's everything about it's amazing. Anyways, he said he was gonna make a dinner reservation to Ringside Steakhouse, but it had to be early because he had to go to work early. So would it be okay if we went there at 4:45? I said, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. He goes, okay. And that was our conversation then. I think he called me and we had that conversation probably on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday. And then it was like for the next week for the dinner reservation. Because I remember I went and it was Sunday, and I talked to my dad about this. So, okay. So then about Monday, he calls me, the wine guy calls me, and he says, well, I'm in the area. How about we do dinner tonight too? Because we live about 45 minutes away from each other. And I said, okay, yeah, I guess we can do that. He goes, but we'll still do Ringside, but can we do dinner tonight? So I just thought he was really excited about whatever gift he got me or something, you know? So he comes over here, and I open the door, and he has 2 big bags of wine in his hands. And he says, how about a dozen bottles of rosé wine instead of a dozen roses? And I laugh, and we bring it in. And then after dinner, he says, can I come in and hang out? So he comes in here to my place, and we open some of the wine, and we talk. And you know, this was in December, so it was around Christmas time, and we're both really big Elvis fans. And I had just recorded on the Christmas special on NBC. It was called Christmas at Graceland, where they had a bunch of different singers singing at Elvis's house, Graceland. And so we watched that, and then he wanted to watch it again, so we watched it twice. He kept talking till like 5:30 in the morning, to the point where I had to say, okay, I'm tired, like I gotta go to bed. And then he left. So I was pretty like hungover and tired the next day because I didn't get much sleep, and we drank so much wine. Like, he drinks so much wine, it's unbelievable. I don't know how anybody can do this. This is why we call him the wine guy, okay? So the next day, Tuesday, he calls me again and says, you know what, how about we do dinner again? And then I was starting to think, like, this is a little odd because we're supposed to have dinner Thursday, okay? We've already had dinner Monday, but he wants to have dinner again on Tuesday? Seems a little odd, right? For someone that we didn't talk all the time and all that. So I said, okay. And I started getting the feeling there's something really weird going on. And he comes over here and he gives me his wine fridge. Now, he is so serious about wine that he had a wine fridge on each side of his bed as his bedside table, okay? That's how serious he was about wine. This guy bought thousands of dollars on him, cases and cases of wine. He would buy the huge bottles of wine that are like thousands of dollars, you know, just because not anyone could just buy them. You know, I just, you know, this is why he's the wine guy. And then I got this feeling he had given me, you know, one of the ones next to his bed, because he had some downstairs, some wine coolers, you know, wine fridges, wine fridges, whatever you want to call them, downstairs, and then 2 upstairs. And I thought that was odd. But, you know, he said it was for my birthday. And I'm like, okay, for my birthday, I guess. I'm not going to say no. And then he brought me more wine. And I'm like, okay. And then we go and have dinner again. And then he wants to come in again and hang out. And I'm thinking, okay, there's something on his mind. Is he going to prison because of this assault charge? Is there something going on? Did he get some sort of bad news about his health? You know, he told me he hadn't been sleeping very well, and, you know, he was looking into getting some prescription sleep medication, and he was seeing a doctor for that. And I thought, okay, maybe they found out something else, you know, I just didn't know. And I figured whatever it is, it's like something really hard to say. And so, like, be patient, don't ask. Even though you could feel it, you could feel this tension, you could feel there was something serious, something was going on. And it was like, in my mind, it's like, keep it light, keep everything fun, you know, like, you want to keep everything happy because of whatever he's dealing with. You know, it was going on for hours and hours and hours. You wanted to say something, like, you wanted to be like, all right, what's going on here? But every time you felt like you're gonna do that, something like stopped you. Like, nope, don't do it. I'm like, okay. I don't know why. So then again, I said, well, you can sleep on the couch here, you know, but I need to go to bed. And I don't think he liked that I told him he could sleep on the couch. I don't know why, but it's kind of the feeling I had. So then the next day he says, will you come over and cook for me? And I'm like, okay, hanging out again in my mind is what I'm thinking. And we had talked about Elvis a lot. And so if you know anything about Elvis like I do, there was a couple of months there in Elvis's life where he was eating meatloaf every single night. That's what he wanted his housekeeper to make for him every single night. So we had talked about this meatloaf thing when he was here. And then he knows I cook because I love cooking and all that. So he's like, I want you to make me that meatloaf. Will you come over to my house? I'm like, okay. So then I thought, well, maybe whatever's going on, he'll be more comfortable with telling me if I'm at his house. Maybe it's more relaxed, maybe it's more comfortable for him, maybe he has something he wants to show me. Like, I just didn't know. So I went to the grocery store, I bought all the stuff to make the meatloaf. I made meatloaf and green beans. And at this point, I'm thinking, like, I cannot have another drunken evening. I cannot do it. Says, oh, you might not want to get close to me, I haven't showered. Now, this is not like him. He's a very put together person. For him not to shower, like, something really has to be going on. And I said, look, I can't have another really long evening, and tomorrow we're going to Ringside, and I want to be able to, like, get up and look nice and, like, do my makeup extra nice and all of those things. So I'm gonna need to get some rest tonight. And he said he understood, he wanted to get some rest too, and all of that. So I left. Then he tells me he has made a pedicure appointment, okay? Because he, a couple months back, was having pain in his feet. So I told him, why don't you get a pedicure? Because they give you a foot massage and they'll clean up your toes and everything. And men think they can't get pedicures because they think it's girly. But I know a lot of men that I've put them on to the, you know, the pedicures, and now they get pedicures because I let them know it was okay for men too. I see men in there by themselves getting pedicures. It's okay to go if you're a man. He's like, well, I'm gonna come pick you up at your house at 2 o'clock. We'll do the pedicure. And I said, well, if I'm going to the salon, I'm not going to be in my dress like I'm going to the restaurant. So I'm gonna change at your house. He said, that's fine. So I did the pedicure. There was nothing weird that happened at the pedicure. He joked around a lot with the lady at the nail salon, but that was all that happened there. It came back to the house. He told me I can go change upstairs in his bedroom while he was downstairs. I changed. When I was standing in there, there was like a feeling of emptiness. Like there was something missing in the room. That's also when I saw where the wine fridge that he gave me was missing from the side of his bed. So I know it was from the side of his bed because I saw it missing. There was just a weird feeling to the house. And then he eventually came upstairs and wanted to change into, you know, what he was gonna wear. And he pulled out the suit he got married in. And I told him, I thought that was weird. My camera's telling me there's not much time left, so let me clear up some stuff. So my memory card almost ran out of space, so I had to delete a bunch of stuff. And since it's already like late evening, I started losing light, so I had to put my Ring camera up, so that's why the light's different. And I poured myself a glass of wine. Okay. I need it for this story. Okay, where was I? Okay, so I'm at his house and I put on my dress, and it was a red leopard dress with a little bit of like snake print through it. And he liked it. It was really nice. Anyway, so he came upstairs and he pulls out his suit that he wore at his wedding. And I thought, that's really weird. Why do you want to wear this? And he tried to play it off like, well, he doesn't really have any other nice clothes, but he does, you know, that's what was weird. And then he had a walk-in closet and he's like, okay, we'll try something else. We'll try something else. And he had this kind of like fun, like how he is. He's kind of like, okay, all right, let's do something else then. Like that's kind of how he is. And I go in his walk-in closet and a lot of his clothes were missing. It was kind of weird. Like it was very empty. Like the house just had an emptiness to him. And I started feeling like he was gonna kill himself. Okay, I started getting that feeling like he's really gonna kill himself. And then I thought, well, just don't say anything, don't say anything. You could just feel it. Like he's preparing. And then like when I was in health class in high school, I remember them telling you like, if people start giving away a bunch of stuff and that means like they're planning to kill themselves, like they told me that back in high school. And you're just thinking, no way, this isn't real, this isn't gonna happen, like this isn't really happening. I'm misreading it. But then I thought like if he's going to prison, then you might want to get rid of stuff too because you're not going to be around and maybe you want someone to hold on to stuff and all of that. And you know, he had been giving me things. He had given me the wine cooler, he gave me a bunch of wine, he gave me all his Elvis and Marilyn posters, which he loved. He, you know, I found a coin in my kitchen later, a silver dollar, because I don't know, I guess that meant something with him and his daughter, which I found out later. You know, there was a whole bunch of things that you just have to stop and go, he's giving me the stuff that matters to him. But they weren't like things that were so expensive, you know. It's not like he tried giving me his car. It wasn't like he gave me a bunch of really expensive things. So, and it was supposed to be for my birthday. He was saying, you know, this is for my birthday. And I guess that's how he was playing it off in, you know, looking back. So I helped him pick out something else to wear. And it was, he had a nice jacket, you know, that we used to wear when we went wine tasting together. Because he used to plan really nice wine tasting trips for the day. And we would just hit up a bunch of wineries. We go downstairs. And I also had picked out a cologne for him years ago. I picked out Gucci Guilty because I love Gucci Guilty. you know, for men. And so he put that on. When I went downstairs, he has a really nice backyard, you know, and the hot tub, and he loved feeding the squirrels. So he had these plastic round bins that were full of peanuts and like apples, like apple cores or dried apples or something like that. And he would just like sit there in the backyard and throw them out to the squirrels. And he named one of the squirrels Andy. So he had Andy written on the side of one of these round big plastic containers. And I was looking out in the backyard and those containers were empty all of a sudden. And I know I had a look on my face of like, okay. And like, there's something about that. I was like, huh, he is killing himself. He's given everything to the squirrels. But like, you have to say like that, is that really a sign of suicide? Not really, but with everything else together. But there was no sadness. Like, he never once was crying. He was always in a good mood. There was never like any sense of like regret or anything at all. Then he said that he had gone and picked up his, I always mix up these words, prescription, subscription, prescription. Okay, I think it's prescription when it's medication. Make fun of me, it's okay. I get those words mixed up. For sleeping medication. And then he shows it to me like he's happy. Like, here, check it out. And I look at it, it's a full bottle. And it's for some reason he wants me to look at this, which I don't know why. And I'm like, okay, you know, what am I supposed to say? Yay, you got sleeping medication. I mean, like, what am I supposed to say? It was a little odd. But then I felt like, is he hinting at things? Like, is he giving me hints? And we stood there for a while and didn't say anything. And then he was like happy and he goes, well, maybe we should get to the restaurant. Probably should get going. I said, oh, okay, yeah. He acted like, oh, order anything you want on the menu. Now, he's always really generous anyways. So at this point, I'm looking at things like he's gonna kill himself, which is a really weird way to look at things. But then sometimes I think I'm a weirdo and I'm just reading into things. So, you know, and it's like, keep it light, keep it fun, you know, like this attitude of, okay, I'm supposed to keep it light, keep it fun, but yet is he gonna kill himself? Like, it was just like, but yes, it's supposed to be my birthday dinner, right? I said we should try something new. I usually at the Prime Rib, and they have really good lobster mashed potatoes there. You gotta get the lobster mashed potatoes. And he got the Wagyu steak, which was like $200, which is unusual for him to do. He never said anything about being sad. He never said anything bad. He never said anything like, oh, I'd like to be remembered by. He never said anything that hinted at it. Maybe the sleeping pills was a hint. Maybe when he saw me staring out the window at the empty containers of squirrel food. I mean, I don't know. My mind's all over the place. Forgive me, my anxiety is racing, so I'm probably sound really stupid right now. So I started noticing that he was stalling through dinner. Like, he wanted this time to last, you know, like we were there a good 2.5 hours. Okay. And he even made comments like, oh, we're outlasting a lot of the other people. I'm like, okay, yeah. I even said something to him like, don't you need to get back because you need to go to bed because you have to go to work early? He says, oh, I only need to be back by 12. So I'm like, okay, maybe you need to be in bed by 12, but later that means something else. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm like, okay. So when he said that, I didn't think it was so, everything was like, okay, maybe I'm overreacting. He went to the bathroom a couple of times and he was in the bathroom for a really long time. He's not normally like that. And then he wanted to do dessert, and we had cheesecake and they had port wine. So if you don't know what that is, it's kind of a dessert wine, and they're very sweet and very rich. So they give you like little tiny glasses. So he said, let's get 2 different ones and let's put them together like in front of each other like this at the table at the restaurant, and we're gonna try them like we're wine tasting. So you try it, you tell me what you think, because he likes my thoughts. I want you to try that one, tell me what you think, and which one do you like better. And he was doing his funny little, okay, I want to hear your thoughts little thing. And I thought, why is this the thing right now? Because we can go wine tasting again. And that also struck me as a sign, because it's like he's trying to experience something that we enjoyed together like it was the last time. You know what I mean? And I could feel it. So it was just weird. And then he started getting a little bit like irritated, like things weren't perfect. He wanted things perfect. You know, I didn't know I was at somebody's suicide dinner. You know what I mean? Like, this was his suicide dinner. Also my birthday dinner at my favorite restaurant. Like, what the? You know? This is why I'm not doing well. It's because of things like this. And everything else. It's crazy. I went to someone's suicide dinner at my favorite restaurant. That was supposed to be a birthday gift? That's a birthday gift? Anyways, moving forward. Okay, all right. Man. So, when we finished everything, he wanted to make sure I had all the leftovers, which I thought was another weird thing, because he was giving me his leftovers too. He took a picture of me at the restaurant. I'll share the photo of me. I regret not taking a photo together that night, because I usually film a lot of stuff, and he did make comments about, why aren't you filming? Because he really wanted to be part of the YouTube channel, and that's why I feel bad about like not being able to say his name and not being able to show some of the nice footage, because I did film at wineries and stuff like that, but I just don't want his family coming back for me and getting mad. I do have to be respectful because of what it is, but I do know he'd want me to show it. So maybe in other videos down the line, I'll use his name and you can figure it out. Okay, but not for this video when it's like, my friend commits suicide, you know what I mean? Like, you get it. So when we leave, we get in the car and we go up this hill. So if you're from Portland, there's like this is hill I don't like going in. It goes up by the Pittock Mansion, which is where I got in a car accident, almost died. Okay. And then there's a ton of graveyards up on this hill, and it's creepy, really creepy to drive through. And it's kind of like a shortcut from downtown Portland into Beaverton and Hillsborough. I live in Beaverton. And so he would have to go and drop me off. He was gonna drop me off at my house in Beaverton, and then he's gonna go back to his place in Forest Grove. I don't know. So then we come back to my house, and I said, oh, I was trying to get him to come inside to talk to me, because I'm thinking, okay, I better say something. This is weird. I better say something. No, I gotta get back. I'm like, okay, are you sure? You sure? No, he wouldn't come in. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just making things up in my mind. You know what I mean? Drops me off. About an hour later, I get a phone call of him, and he's like in a happy mood. He goes, hey, is it all right if I come back over? I'm like, yeah, come back over. He goes, all right. I said, but don't you have to work tomorrow? He goes, no. I'm like, no. I said, well, didn't you want to have an early dinner because you had to work tomorrow? Yeah, but I'm not going to work. Like, okay. Then I thought, okay, I'm not going to pressure him on the phone in case he doesn't come over, right? So he comes over here, and he's in a happy mood. He had a bunch of Sprite with him and a bottle of like whiskey bourbon, which I still have in the kitchen over here. And he mixed Sprite with whiskey bourbon, and he's like, all right, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you think. Like, this is how he is, you know? And I'm like, okay. And we sit on the couch. Then he says to me, the reason why this day is important is because it's my ex-wife's birthday. And I'm like, you wanted to have my birthday dinner on your ex-wife's birthday? This is the reason you chose today? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and you wanted to wear your wedding suit. So you wanted to wear the suit you got married in to your ex-wife that won't talk to you, who's pressing assault charges on you, and you may or may not go to prison. And she's filed for divorce when she's only been married to you for 5 days. Okay. But you want to wear the suit you got married in to a dinner with me for my birthday. Tell me that's not weird. I felt really weird. I didn't know what to say. And it was so uncomfortable, I felt like I couldn't look at him. And then there was this sense of urgency. Like he had to go. He looked at the clock. I know he saw my clock, okay? Because there was something about 12 o'clock. And so I said, you know, I've been through a lot of crazy things and I'm still here. Things can turn around. That's what I said. He goes, really? Like, surprised. Because that was my way of saying, I think you're killing yourself, you know? Then he tells me he loves me, which he's never said before. He's never in 9 years ever told me he loves me. I felt like he was asking me to marry him, but he didn't propose, but I did get that feeling the way he was talking about things, and I'm not going to go into that on here. But no. Okay. He started crying. He hugged me and said he had to get going. And I said, I'm not going to see you again, am I? And he says, oh no, you'll see me again. I said, really? I said, what's going on here? Because something's going on. He says, I'm going on a road trip. I said, no, you're not going on a road trip. He goes, I'm not. I said, no, you're not. He goes, why is that? I said, because it's in the winter time. It's December. And I don't know where. I said, okay, all right. Where are you going then? If you're going on a road trip, where are you going? He goes, I don't know. I said, you don't know? You're going on a road trip in winter, but you don't know where you're going? I said, no, you're not. Because nobody does that. Nobody has no destination. And you're not going to work? So he's upset and he runs out the door. What am I going to do? He runs out the door. So I start panicking. And I call him, okay? And when I call him, there's a sense of relief in his voice. Like he didn't expect me to call him. And he's like, hey, I'm just pulling up to the house. And I heard the car door open and stuff. And he said that he was talking to me through the speakers of his car, so he's gonna have to switch it over to his phone or something. So I did hear like the transitioning thing. So I do know he was in his car and that he just got there. I did hear the garage door open, so I know he went into the garage. So this is weird because he always parks his car in the garage, but later we see that his car is in the driveway, which is weird. And he's like a very like particular about things person, you know? So it was weird. So I said, okay, what's going on here? I decided I'm confronting you. This is weird. I'm confronting you. He goes, what do you mean? I go, come on. You're not going on a road trip. You're not going to work. You want to have an early dinner with me. What's going on? He goes, the reason why it feels like something's going on is because it is. I said, okay, what are you doing? He said, you know, the cards just weren't dealt in my favor. It was something like that. Like the cards weren't dealt in my favor, or I didn't get the right hand in life. It was something like that. I said, well, neither did I. Neither did I. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm never gonna find love again. I said, well, I may never find it either. It's not looking good for me. He goes, well, I'm a lot older than you. I said, yeah. I said, okay, so you're not going to work then? No. I said, why? Did you get fired? Nope, didn't get fired. Did you quit? Nope, didn't quit. Do they think you're showing up tomorrow? He goes, yes. I said, so they think you're going to be there, but you're not going to be there. He goes, you're right. I said, aren't you worried about that? He goes, oh, they'll figure it out. I pushed him to tell me what was going on, but he clearly didn't want to tell me because he didn't want me to stop it. And I've had another friend of mine commit suicide years and years and years ago. She was a lot older than me too. And her same reasoning for committing suicide was she thought she would never find love again. This is what everyone tells me before they commit suicide. Trish told me this. Now, the wine guy and my other friend, and it was always about love. And I guess that's what we're all striving for. That's the most ultimate thing in life, is having that relationship. And that's what I'm striving for. And we'll talk about my thoughts on this after I tell you the story. Okay. For some reason, my camera stopped recording, so we're starting again. And I feel like this lighting's really weird, so I apologize. But I am not going to keep refilming and refilming this. Okay. There was just a strong feeling of respect the decision. I had that feeling before with my other friends that killed themselves. That it's not my decision to make. It's not my life. Who am I to tell them what they feel like? What their day is like? What they're supposed to do with themselves? That's not my choice. I'm not them. And we'll talk about all that too at the end of this. So I knew, even though he didn't want to directly tell me, that yes, he was going to kill himself that night. And he wanted it to be on his ex-wife's birthday that he'd only been married to 5 days. That was screwing him over, and I don't even think she cared about him. And I think there was something more to it. I think she was getting all his money or taking his house from him or something like that. There had to have been more to it, where he thought that he was never going to get himself back together again. He was never going to live the same way as he had been living, that he was losing everything. There had to have been something like that. So I got off the phone with him because he said he was getting very tired. So I had a feeling he took those sleeping pills. I think he took the whole bottle of sleeping pills. Okay, that's what I think. So I didn't know how he was gonna do it. There was nothing I can do. And I just kind of said, you know what, it's his choice. If he wants to do it, it's just, he's gonna do it. Who am I to tell you how to live your life? You know, if you're in that much pain and this and that, that's not my business. You know, but he got me so involved in this, you know. I got off the phone with him and I instantly, I mean, it wasn't right away. I guess it was shortly after that, I felt burning in my chest, burning. And it was hard to breathe, and it was racing through my chest and going all the way through my chest. And I could feel him killing himself. And people say I'm like an empath. I don't know if you believe in that stuff, but I feel like I sometimes feel other people's pain, other people's emotions that are not my own. And I feel them as if they are my own. And so I do feel like I felt him killing himself. And it was burning in the chest, hard to breathe, and it was like going through my chest like crazy, like whew, all the way through. It was really, really bad. Like I started coughing and crying and stuff. The next day I tried to call him, he didn't answer. I sent him a picture of me at the restaurant. Usually he gets right back to me. Didn't hear anything from him. Next day, try calling again. The phone was ringing. No answer. Then the next day after that, it was Sunday, so I go to my parents' house for dinner, and I told my parents what had happened. And then they said, we need to call the police. And then I felt like, I can't make the phone call. This is weird. Like, I don't want to do this. So my mom calls the police, and we give them the address. And the first thing they say is, why are you calling now? Now I'm going to tell you from experience, because I had another friend commit suicide and I had to make the same phone call years ago about doing a wellness check. Okay, you ask the police to do a wellness check because you think someone's killed themselves. That's what they said before. It's because they know the address. They've already been there. They've already dealt with it. They know the person is dead. And so they don't know why you're calling now. That's why they say, why are you calling now? So if you ever have to do that and they say that, just know the person's dead. Great fun fact for you from me. Here we are again. Man. Anyways. So there's all these laws about not being able to give out all the information here and all that kind of stuff. And they said that they could confirm that he was deceased. I hate the word deceased, but they go, we can confirm that he is deceased. I'm like, what? Like, I like yelled, like started swearing and stuff. And I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew he was gonna kill himself. He killed himself. I said, when was he found? So the phone call was about 11 o'clock at night. I looked at my phone, okay. The phone call happened about 11. We were on the phone for about 15 minutes. They said they found him at about 12:30 at night. So he got off the phone with me and killed himself? I said, well, how'd he die? Wouldn't tell me. They said it was suspicious. Suspicious. We can't tell you. There's an investigation. We don't know if it's a murder. I go, it's not, it's a suicide. I told him the whole story. I go, okay, well, after talking to you, we think that, but you still have to talk to our investigator who's on the case. I'm just the, whatever, lady on the phone. I'm like, okay, you can't tell me. So then I'm thinking, he lives alone, so nobody found him. So it's not like he took the sleeping pills and he went to bed and someone found him. So who would have checked on him or called the police? Like, what would have happened to be found that quickly? You know what I mean? Like, that quickly. The investigator calls me. Hello?
Hello, is this Kristen?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Detective Matt Glenn with Forest Grove Police. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay as well. So I got an email.
They just told me he's dead. And so I'd really like to know what happened, because I feel like he killed himself after I got off the phone with him, and it's been really traumatizing me and bothering me. So I'd really like to know what happened for my own mental state.
Sure. Well, I'll kind of tell you as much as I know. We're still kind of putting pieces together, but there was a fire at the house.
Okay.
Firefighters responded, put the fire out. There were some things that were suspicious about it. And so we did, basically an investigation throughout the day, got in the house, going through everything. And
what room?
It was, it wasn't in a room. It was in the crawl space of the house.
So underneath the house?
Mm-hmm.
That's really weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of odd things. But, looking at everything, what did he wear out to dinner that night?
What did he have on? He had a suit jacket, a long sleeve, I think gray shirt, and I think black jeans.
So yeah, there's nothing that tells us anything other than this was something that was self-inflicted.
So is the house burned down then?
It's not completely burned down, no.
So when you found him in the crawl space, was he like laying there or just like curled up?
He was laying there. I can't really go into a bunch of detail on how it was, but there was every indication was that he got himself there under his own power.
So I'm just imagining this. We get off the phone, him and me. He goes upstairs, puts on the wedding suit. It was on the bed when we left for dinner, so I know that suit was on the bed. goes upstairs, put on the suit. Maybe he cranks up his music, maybe he guzzles down a bottle of wine, maybe he's taken pill after pill of the sleeping medication, I don't know. He's dumping lighter fluid through the house. Probably up and down the stairs, all this and that. And the crawl space was underneath the staircase. So he went underneath there, crawled all the way to the opposite side of the house. So I'm assuming he only put lighter fluid on the one side of the house. So after I met with his daughter, who is 5 years younger than me, which was a little weird, but she's great. She was great. We ended up meeting and talking. This whole situation has just been ongoing insanity, like almost daily. Okay, this is why I haven't been filming. This is why I've been crazy. Now you understand. So her friend is like a paramedic or something, and she said she deals with this kind of stuff a lot, and sometimes people preset their house or preset where they're going to burn, so they dump lighter fluid on things and let it sit so it soaks in, so the burn is slower. So she thinks, because I thought it was really weird, like, why did he drop me off at my house, go back to his house, then come back to my house, and then go back to his house? You know what I mean? It's a lot of driving, you know? So she thinks he preset the house with lighter fluid. That's why. And we think he didn't want the house to explode because he didn't want to hurt the other people's houses around him, because he lived in a very nice neighborhood, and he cared about people. He liked his neighbors. So he wouldn't want the other neighbors' houses to catch on fire. So he just wanted it to be a slow burn on the inside. The reason he went under the house is because he didn't want to be found right away, but he did want to die. So he knew that the flames would rise, carbon dioxide would go underneath the house. He timed it out where he took enough sleeping pills that he would be passed out by the time, you know, the house was burning. And he died in his wedding suit. He had his cell phone next to him. He had his wedding ring on. He had like a little frog sculpture, I guess, which was meaningful to him. And I think there was something else. Oh, he had his ostrich boots on, that his daughter told me was like really meaningful to him. Okay, the turn for his neighborhood is right here. Okay, it's gonna be around the corner here. It's not burnt down. Okay, I'm shaking. Oh my God. There's the hot tub. Fire went up through the back. Oh, it's just awful feeling. It's locked. So this is, they were full of corn and peanuts because he liked to feed the squirrels. I can't believe this. You can smell the fire. Huh. see how bad it is in there. But I can't see it. And they have it locked. But that's what I've been dealing with, okay? So look up the song Fast Car, because I think that's why he said something to me about a road trip, because it sounds like somebody driving around and thinking about suicide. And then randomly, like, this other song came to me that I don't listen to country music, okay? It just like came on the radio, and it's called like World on Fire. And it's like, the song, it sounds like if I was making a movie, okay, say I was making a movie about the situation, I would play this song when he's lighting the fire in his house. World on Fire. So my symbols for him, okay, and maybe I'll use his name later and you'll figure it out and we'll have a moment, but rosé wine. So we figured out that Dark Horse rosé wine was actually amazing. Has like a strawberry hint to it. It's cheap wine. Like, it's like $10 bottle. And we've gone to expensive wineries, okay, expensive wineries, and had expensive bottles. And this Dark Horse rosé wine is the best. All right, wild animals. Well, I might not have been the best at explaining this, but I can't tell the story again. You get it. All right, well, remember to always have patience with people, because we are all going through something. It makes a little bit more sense now why I say these things. We are all going through something. We never know what we're all going through, okay? That's why I asked you to have patience with people. Okay. I will see you next time. Okay, so these are the posters he gave me. The Elvis and Marilyn posters. I haven't moved it from where he put it. Okay, it's just another one of my weird things I have to do. So there's a couple of the posters here. These are ones, that he gave me. And I'm just going to leave them here till I feel like I'm healed a little bit more. There's the wine fridge. So now every time I go and get wine, I think about the situation. Creature says, yeah, I know. Here's that really big bottle of wine he gave me. It's a Pinot Noir. And it was a $1,600 bottle that he told me that just not anyone can just get. We opened it together, okay? And it had gone bad. So I just put this over it, because I don't have a way to recork it. But the wine already went bad, and we opened it together, and we both figured that out. Okay? He gave me some of those wine glasses over there. And there's some scratches on my table underneath this purse that will always, can you see this? Right in here, like round from when we opened it. And he was really worried about that, but you know what? That's okay. At least every time I see that, I'll think about him, and it'll be one of the last nights of his life. So, just another awful situation in my life, okay? So, there you go.